Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. A quick reminder of our top stories. Senate summons Finance Minister, CBN Governor to explain concerns over looming economic recession. Appeal Court denies bail application by self-acclaimed indigenous people of Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu. Police in Enugu arrest suspected herdsmen allegedly involved in the April 25th midnight attack in Nimbo community. Recover video of raid. Italian police rescue 562 people from deadly migrant boat capsize in the Mediterranean. Incident caught on camera. Do remember that all our top stories can be found on our website as channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also encourage you to use the Eyewitness feature in the Channels TV app. If you've got pictures or videos you'd like to share with us, simply tap on the Channels TV app on your device. Swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
And now to some pictures you sent into our Eyewitness portal. First is this one from Ado-Ekiti in Ekiti State showing an accident involving a truck. Our Eyewitness reporter advises truck drivers to adhere to traffic regulations. Our next is this photo sent in from Lokoja-Okene Road. It shows a bus and a lorry on fire at the scene of an accident. This picture is from the Federal Polytechnic Bida. That will be our next picture. And that's it from the Federal Polytechnic Bida Road in Niger State. It shows gully erosion eating up this access road. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the state authorities to help end the impact of erosion. And next is this picture from Idioro, Mushing area of Lagos State. Our Eyewitness reporter is appealing to the government to fix this road. And finally is this one from Agege area of Lagos State showing a heap of refuse in a public place. Our Eyewitness reporter advises residents to show more concern for the environment. We do sincerely thank you so much indeed for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The federal government has appointed the chief executive of 6 information-related parastatals under the Ministry of Information and Culture. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, confirmed the appointments today in Abuja. Those appointed include Mr. Isha Kukau, Director General, National Broadcasting Commission; Mr. Mansur Liman, Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria; Mr. Yakubu Muhammad, Director General, Nigeria Television Authority; Garba Abari, Director General, National Orientation Agency; Mr. Bayo Ononuga, Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria; and Mr. Osita Okechukwu, Director General, Voice of Nigeria. The new appointments replace the chief executives of the parastatals who were disengaged on February the 15th, 2016. The appointment takes immediate effect. Nemesis appears to have caught up with those suspected to have carried out the attacks on Nimbo community in Enugu State, as the police have announced the arrest of 5 people in connection with the crime. The midnight attack on the village of Uzowani local government area on April the 25th had left at least 20 people killed. The police in a statement explains that the operatives swooped on the suspect, Mohammed Zurei Chiroma Musman, Saleh Adamu, Suleiman Lote and Haruna Lote, and recovered a mobile phone with memory card containing the video recording of the massacre in the community. In the statement, the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, assured Nigerians that the police will intensify efforts to tackle crime and criminality and urged Nigerian supports for the force. The Lagos State government today signed a memorandum of understanding with a consortium of investors to commence the construction of the fourth mainland bridge. The project, which will run through a 40-year concession period, will cost 844 billion naira, including construction and maintenance costs.
Representatives of the Lagos State government, a consortium of consultants and investors, put pen to paper to append their signature on an MOU to commence the construction of the fourth mainland bridge. The State Commissioner for Works, Mr. Ganiu Johnson, provides details of the project.
It has a total of 8.4 kilometers of river bridge and 17.7 kilometers of deck umpire across the swamp and 11.9 kilometers of roadway. A cross-section of the road is quite generous, providing for a 4-lane dual carriageway with 2.5 meters hard shoulder and a generous median that will cater for future use in roadway expansion and light rail facilities.
The fourth mainland bridge is meant to complement the existing ones. The state government is delighted that its plans to make Lagos one of the world-class cities is coming to fruition.
We have just signed a memorandum of understanding on the fourth mainland bridge. The significance of this bridge will be fully appreciated if you can imagine Lagos of today without the third mainland bridge. The increase in the state's population and expanded commercial activity has led to frequent traffic congestion. This has made it imperative for us to have a fourth mainland bridge that will serve as an alternative route to the eastern axis and decongest traffic in the states. More importantly, this bridge will provide the required transportation complement to the rapidly growing industrial activities on the Etiosa-Lekki-Epe corridor of the state.
If everything goes as planned, the 38-kilometer fourth mainland bridge, which is expected to be completed in 3 years, will become the longest bridge and expressway in Africa.
You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. As we switch gears now to our Abuja studios, where Gloria Omezweke is standing by to take us through. Gloria.
Hello again, Bob. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Abuja. In continuation of our review of how the organs and agencies of government have fared over the last 1 year, our focus tonight will be on the National Assembly. In this report, our correspondent Lanre Lasisi reviews the activities of the legislature in the past 1 year of the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration.
May 29, 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari speaks on how his administration intends to work with the legislature.
The Federal Executive under my watch will not seek to encroach on the duties and functions of the legislative and judicial arms of government.
A few weeks later, the journey of the 8th National Assembly commenced with a leadership tussle. The ruling All Progressive Congress, with a majority in both chambers, struggled to pick leaders for each chamber.
I appreciate the fact that they saw it coming, but like I also want to analyze, because they are also new and they really didn't understand the game the way it is played, they fell into all the traps that were set for them.
My party mishandled the issues, having to do with the inauguration of the House and the Senate.
The lawmakers will spend a large part of the year dealing with political squabbles, horse trading, and infighting. But another crisis was brewing just around the corner. Senate President Bukola Saraki was charged with false declaration of his assets. Some people feel his trial is a fallout of the confrontation over the leadership tussle.
There is nothing to think there because it is truly a fallout. You put 1 and 2 together, you surely get 2. As far as we are concerned, the Senate President is being persecuted. I stand by that, and I can say it anywhere.
Yes, we are all for the fight against corruption. But when the fight against corruption takes the form of persecution, you better be careful.
This development has prompted discussions on the need for immunity for presiding officers of the National Assembly.
I am sure that the Saraki issue, with all due respect to the President of the National Assembly, will address the major mischief that we have seen in the issue of immunity, and it will become an issue that we cannot run away from. Because if the debate starts today, I can assure you that those that seek the independence of the National Assembly will seek immunity for the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Deputy Senate President, and also the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The 2016 budget also threw up a fresh storm with reports that the budget was switched, then missing, and then found, and finally pardoned. The issue was eventually resolved and the budget signed into law, even though some people frown at how the budget was amended.
For us, any action you saw us taking in the course of the passage of the budget was in the interest of the Nigerian population, the Nigerian people.
As a party, to this great institution, this abuse of the budgetary process will not ever be allowed.
It appears this year will set the pace for what Nigerians should expect from the legislature in the next 3 years of this administration. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Now, to look at how the National Assembly has fared in the past 1 year under the Buhari administration, we're being joined by the Executive Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Abuja, Mr. Clement Nwankwo. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you, Gloria.
Now, how would you assess the relationship between the executive and the legislature?
Well, on the face of it, it looks like it's no major rancor. There hasn't been any major tussle, except, of course, the issue related to the budget. A badly prepared budget went into the National Assembly, came out, and the president had issues with it, and literally ordered the National Assembly to go and redo the work that it had done. I think that was a major issue. Of course, there's the ongoing trial of the Senate President, which in a lot of minds raises questions whether it's an attempt by the executive to muzzle the legislature and interfere in its processes. But otherwise, it seems to me that the relationship has not thrown up any major issues. Of course, we had the interference with the political parties trying to dictate who emerges as principal officers or presiding officers in the National Assembly, which I think is a major issue in all democracies, particularly presidential democracies such as we have and the kind of constitution we have. It's the responsibility of the National Assembly or the legislature to choose who its presiding officers are, and we did see evidences of the executive or the political parties that produce these candidates trying to dictate how this should happen, which is a major concern in terms of the independence of the legislature.
So I'll come to your thoughts on the immunity clause, but right now, would you say the president has kept to his promise not to interfere with other arms of government?
Well, again, I would say on the face of it, yes, but of course these two issues are there. A key thing, of course, is really the challenge in terms of the executive not engaging the legislature. I don't see much engagement, perhaps not apparent interference, but not a lot of engagement, not a lot of initiative on the part of the executive to drive a legislative agenda. And any government, particularly a government that is new, coming from the opposition, trying to bring about change, and that change is not reflecting in drawing up of its own legislative direction, I think is a major concern. There are laws in this country that needs to be reformed. The executive needs to take the initiative in addressing several of those laws. A key part of it, of course, are laws that affect businesses in Nigeria, and there are several of such laws. Laws affecting issues that are contained in the executive legislative list and the concurrent list that need serious reform. Issues related to updating and reform of the land use Land Use Act in Nigeria. All of these are laws that I believe that if the executive were to engage the legislature, it will expedite reforms. You can't have reforms without changes in laws that exist today. A lot of the laws are outdated and needs to be brought up to date.
All right. Well, what is your position on your view on the position being canvassed by a lawmaker in that report you saw, that there is a need to consider immunity for presiding officers, considering the fact that the Senate President is going through this trial this time?
I think you'll be ill-advised. I do not believe that anybody should have immunity, not even executive, the president or the governors. A lot of the canvassing for removal of immunity has been going on, particularly in civil society and those who want to see good governance in operation. A lot of officials or a lot of persons who are elected in positions operate with impunity. If you see what the governors are doing in the states, you would really call to question the issue of impunity. I think that impunity as it exists, or the granting of immunity in the Constitution for executives, the governors and the president, should in fact be removed. In a lot of countries, and we have seen a lot of countries where the sitting presidents, sitting elected officials at state level are charged to court without immunity being in place. And I think that it's important in this country that we need to revisit the issue of including immunity for governors, for the president and their deputies as contained in the Constitution. So any conversing of immunity to extend to presiding officers for the legislature, I think, is completely unacceptable.
All right, Mr. Clement Nwakwo, thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you.
Thank you. When the News at 10 returns, Nigeria's stock market hits new highs as investors hail CBN's new flexible forex policy. Please join us again.